November 24, 1971, a night when a plane was in the air, and a plot was unfolding that would change history. On a quiet November evening, a man named Dan Cooper was on Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, traveling from Portland to Seattle. He looked like an ordinary businessman, but a deep secret was hidden in his briefcase. Suddenly, a note lands in the hands of a flight attendant. The note read, "I have a bomb in my briefcase." That single line turned a normal flight into a high-stakes hijacking. A ransom of millions of dollars, 4 parachutes, and a story that even after 50 years remains a mystery. What did Cooper do that night? How did he disappear from the plane? And the biggest question of all, where did he go? November 24, 1971. A seemingly normal 30-minute Northwest Orient Airlines flight took off from Portland, Oregon, bound for Seattle, Washington. On board were 36 passengers and 6 crew members. What no one knew was that among them sat a man in his mid-40s, dressed in a business suit. His name, he would later reveal, was Dan Cooper. He sat in the last row, seat 18E. As soon as the plane was in the air, he handed a note to a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner. Assuming he was flirting, she put the note in her pocket. But Cooper insisted. Schaffner opened the note, and it was clear. "I have a bomb in my briefcase, and I want you to sit by me." Cooper opened his briefcase, revealing red cylinders, wires, and a large battery, leaving no doubt that it was indeed a bomb. He then made his demands, $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. He wanted it all ready by the time the plane landed in Seattle. The pilots were informed, and the news quickly reached the airline's president, Donald Narbo. To avoid a panic and fulfill the demands, the pilots were told to circle the sky for 3 hours, turning a short flight into a much longer one, while the money and parachutes were prepared on the ground. The plane finally landed at Seattle's airport at 5:46 p.m. An airline representative delivered a bag of money and the parachutes. After getting his demands, Cooper let all the passengers and most of the crew off the plane. He kept only the 2 pilots and 1 flight attendant, Tina Mucklow. The plane was refueled and took off again. Cooper's instructions for the pilots were very specific. He wanted them to fly towards Mexico City at an altitude of 10,000 feet, with the wings at a 15-degree angle, and as slow as possible. Despite the pilots' warnings that they didn't have enough fuel for such a flight, Cooper was unconcerned. What happened next is unbelievable. He told Tina to go into the cockpit and lock the door. With the pilots and flight attendant locked inside, Cooper was alone in the back of the plane. He took out his parachutes and prepared to jump. At 8:13 p.m., a warning light flashed in the cockpit. The rear staircase, a unique feature on Boeing 727s, had been deployed. Cooper jumped out with the money and the parachutes. The pilots and crew, with no window in the cockpit door, didn't see a thing. When the plane landed, police and the FBI found no trace of Cooper. They found only a tie clip, and some torn pieces of parachute. The search began immediately, with investigators looking everywhere for the money or a body. The money given to Cooper was special, $10,020 bills, with all of their serial numbers recorded. The FBI published a list of the serial numbers, but for years no one found a single bill. The case remained a complete mystery for nearly a decade. Then, in 1980, a huge breakthrough occurred. An 8-year-old boy digging on the banks of the Columbia River found a bundle of old, decaying $20 bills. Police checked the serial numbers and immediately confirmed it was part of the ransom money. This discovery proved a theory by a pilot named Tom Bohan, who had been flying behind Cooper's plane that night. He had recalled a storm and suggested the FBI's initial drop zone was wrong, and that Cooper likely landed near the Washougal River. The found money was downstream from that area, proving his theory correct. Despite finding a small portion of the money, the search for Cooper continued for years without success. The FBI officially closed the case in 2016, but many questions remain. Over the years, many suspects emerged. One was Richard McCoy, a Vietnam War veteran who hijacked a plane in a very similar way just 5 months after Cooper. He demanded 4 parachutes and $500,000 and deployed the rear staircase. However, he was caught 2 days later. While he looked similar to the FBI sketch of Cooper, the FBI later found proof that McCoy was in Las Vegas on the night of the hijacking, ruling him out as a suspect. Another major suspect was Robert Rackstraw, also a Vietnam veteran, who had a history of fraud and aircraft theft. A TV producer named Thomas Colbert published a book in 2016, claiming with evidence from a team of 40 people, including former FBI agents, that Rackstraw was the real D.B. Cooper. The FBI had considered Rackstraw a suspect early on, but later removed him from the list due to a lack of substantial evidence. Rackstraw always denied the claims, and the FBI's decision to close the case in 2016, just one day after Colbert's book was published, left many people wondering, even after all this time. The mystery of who D.B. Cooper was and what happened to him remains unsolved. Was he a master criminal who vanished without a trace, or did he die that night in the wilderness? The fact that no one has been able to solve this case makes it the only unsolved hijacking in U.S. history, and one of the most intriguing mysteries of all time.